Hello and welcome to my extended project presentation. So in the first term I needed to streamline my ideas and decide on the project that I wanted to do. So using mind maps and also talking to friends, I decided to do something based on music production because I was interested in the past, played piano, that kind of thing, and I thought it'd be a good thing to do. I originally wanted to do my EPQ as like a hybrid project where I did a mini dissertation alongside an artifact. The idea was basically to do a study into the evolution of music and its patterns to try and predict what popular music would sound like in 10 years. I would then try and create a selection of tracks with my prediction. I realised that if I was going to spend a year creating an album, I might as well make this my shot at becoming an actual musician, and decided to just create an album instead of doing the whole thing about predicting the future. I did a rough task breakdown to try and decide how to manage my time, and then created a more detailed Gantt chart. Because my handwriting is obviously not very good. In reflection, this long duration of a timeline was not that helpful because my project ended up changing very dramatically near the end of the project. However, it made me have a good understanding of things and what I roughly needed to get done by each month. So I recreated a timeline specifically for summer as well because I need more specific organisation. I created a diary in which I kept a solid record of things done each day. Often I'll be doing the same thing, so entries are quite short, but I included inter-month reviews to ensure that I was on schedule and ready for the next month. My diary has helped me a lot in making this video, as there's an entry for almost every day this year, so I have a detailed record of my entire project. I already had some knowledge of how to get started in music production, so I decided to use Ableton as my software and bought a MIDI keyboard basically straight away, which is all I needed at the beginning. I began right away making beats and instrumentals from a multitude of genres, essentially planning for me to be both producer and vocal artist in the album. Most of the process was trial and error, just trying to figure out the complexities of the software. I frequently ran into problems and had a variety of sources that I used for assistance. I evaluated their utility on this document. YouTube videos and the Ableton forum were my main sources of information, but many hours were spent trying to figure out technical issues that the internet couldn't solve. I got into jazz guitar and piano because they helped me with my production. I began to learning how to sample properly, which is a real indication of how good a producer is, and did some research on how to gain legal rights to using song samples. After emailing someone in the industry who gave me quotes for some song requests, I decided I wasn't going to spend thousands of pounds on my EP and stuck to music that I knew I could legally use for free. I was working basically every day and my skills were improving rapidly, so I decided to use a skill wheel to fill in each month to keep track with my progress. My colouring in skills clearly have not improved on that much. Alongside working on my project, I decided to use my newfound skills to make podcast intros, producing songs and also creating short pieces of music for people on the internet using Fiverr. I created a short commentary of it and attached some of my intros or producer tags for different clients on this document. As you can see, I made quite a lot of money doing it, and I decided to reinvest some of that money into the project, buying a microphone, a digital converting interface, and a few other things. I listed it all on an expenditure sheet. This is my home studio by the end of the project. My original plan was sort of to create an indie album but with more hip-hop style beats in the background, and I released a couple of songs to Spotify to test the waters. I racked up a few hundred streams but realised that I didn't really want to properly release an album with me as the vocalist. I decided to act solely as a producer, creating an album with other artists on each track. I began making more hip-hop beats and contacted a few people I knew that had already started releasing music or were looking to start. Unfortunately, despite plans to use a studio at college to record other artists, due to lockdown it was impossible to deal with the month-long delays to recording, and I began thinking of other options. I did some research on dance music, analysing songs that I liked, also creating playlists on Spotify with inspiration for possible tracks. I also created a bibliography of songs I used in samples, songs used for inspiration, equipment bought, and a massive list of sound packs, plugins, and VSTs downloaded from the internet. I was playing around with different types of electronic music, trying to expand my producing skills as much as possible. I created a dance track that included film music, Spanish flamenco singing, and Dizzy Rascal all on one track. I decided to look further into house music as a possible route to make the album, and did some research into its history, and especially its offshoots in the UK, mainly drum and bass, jungle, and garage. I also really like 90s dance producers like Moby and Fatboy Slim, so I thought I'd combine their sampling styles with naughty UK bass lines like this. I have no musical training at drumming but do for piano and guitar, so I wanted to increase the complexity of my drum loops and create a folder of drum loops with weird time signatures like 9/8 and 11/8 to try and diversify my tracks.
Closing in on the summer holidays, I made the transition properly to house music, downloading loads of plugins, which are like virtual pieces of equipment, and sound packs as well for house music. I released my first house track on the Spotify and lots of other platforms as a single to build up excitement for the album, which is going to be dropped in the first week of September. I used DistroKid as the distributor this time rather than Amuse, which means it costs money now, but it's much faster and a lot easier as well. I created the cover for the single and also created my Spotify page to make it all look reasonably professional. I also chose the producer named Jan Juk after a beach, and it's only profile with that name, which is very important. Due to the late change, the full album is going to be released in the first week of September. Very quickly after releasing it and a bit of promotion from my friends, I was getting quite a few streams from all over the world. My top country was the UK, but I got lots and lots of streams from the US and Australia as well. I created a lot more music and improved my skills a lot more than expected over the year, but would have liked to have created a finished album before summer. My time management was consistent throughout the year, and I worked on my skills or on the project most days. My main problems were having to change the project late into the year and of course the endless time-consuming technical difficulties that skills like this entail. If I were to repeat the project, I would like to try to stick to one genre, but due to the unpredictability of the last year, the delays and switching of production meant that this was impossible. When setting out on the project, I knew my music production skills would improve, but my piano and guitar skills have also greatly improved, particularly in jazz. I realised that the way I work is in highly motivated and energetic bursts, followed by times where I literally couldn't contribute anything to the project. The process of the project has given me a lifelong skill and a passion for music production that I feel I'll definitely return to in the future, even though I'm not going to do a music degree. My creativity has really increased, and as my A-levels are either STEM or essay based, I feel very content with my choice of project. Thank you for listening, and please fill out the feedback form.